We're going to let you guys feed the gators.
What?
But first we're going to talk about the swamp. What we're looking at here is
Momo,
a replica of a cypress
give me Aiden
swamp.
shoe in the sock.
It's something we do have in Central Florida, but not as many as we used to because of overdevelopment.
Thank you, Momo.
We're working our houses down on the animals' habitat, and it's not good for the animals. It's ultimately not good for us either. If it ever starts to rain again, we might find that out. In here we have 9 American alligators. They all belong to Gatorland, and when they get too feisty or too big for us, they go back to Gatorland. So you'll never find a Science Center gator in your swimming pool retention pond. You might find somebody else's, but not one of ours. We really appreciate Gatorland and appreciate the partnership we have with them that allows us to borrow the gators, take them back, and then get new ones. There's only 2 kinds of alligator in the world, the American and the Chinese. Chinese gators about half the size of our guys, extremely endangered in the wild, less than 100 left in the wild. But they do have them in zoos around the world, so when China's able to get up a refuge, they'll put some of them back in their native habitat, which I think would be a good thing. We've got some other things in the swamp. We have some turtles. Under my feet there's a snapping turtle. He's not dead and he's not caught. He's nocturnal, and this is where he cares to sleep, and we let him sleep wherever he wants to. He'll come out tonight and harass everybody in the swamp. We also have a soft shell sitting right over here. We have peninsula cooters, red belly sliders, a couple of western canids, and the Mississippi map turtle. The turtles that you see with the red on the sides of their head, they're called red ear sliders, and they are not native here. Those are the guys that were sold on the sides of the road a couple years ago, and you got a darling little turtle in a palm tree in a plastic container. The problem with that turtle was it grew up. People didn't know what to do with it, so they tossed it in the waterways. As a result, we now have red ear sliders in every waterway in Florida. Perhaps in the United States, they're an aggressive species, actually native to the Mississippi Valley. We also have a lot of fish in here. We have largemouth bass, bluegill, rollmouth. Those little teeny fish you see swimming are called gambusia. They're called mosquito fish. In the wild, they would eat mosquito larvae. Hopefully they won't find any in the Science Center. I wouldn't be too thrilled about that. We also have a couple of Florida gar and some catfish. Those big old fish you see swimming are tilapia. They are not native here either. They were brought in by Fish and Wildlife, hoping they would eat all the noxious weeds in our waterways, and they did not, but they love Florida. So if y'all are going fishing, fish for tilapia, such a deal, you don't have to pay permits. I mean, you can't get better than that, but you have to clean your own fish. All right, kids, what do I have in my hand?
Alligator.
That is an alligator. Is it a baby or a grown-up? Why do you think it's a baby?
Small.
It is little. Very good. Anything else? Okay, what I want you guys to see are the bands on this one and on these. Those indicate that it's a juvenile, and those bands are for camouflage. They need all the camouflage they can get. Out of every 100 babies hatched, only 1 lives to be an adult, which is not a real good record. Larval birds eat them, birds of prey eat them, large fish like largemouth bass and gar, large turtles like your snappers and soft shells. Mom won't eat them. She's a really good mama. Can you see the eyes on top of their head? And he has sensory organs right around here. If he comes up to a gator that is not mom, kind of like that, he's going to have a snack and not much care what he ate, okay? That mound out there is a replica of what we call a gator mound. Actually, it would be on shore, but for logistics, we have it out there. When mom gator's ready to lay her eggs, she builds up a big mound of vegetation. She digs a hole in it, and she lays 30 to 50 eggs. And she covers those eggs up with vegetation. The heat from the rotting vegetation is what hatches the eggs. Now, mom gator does not sit on the nest like a bird, however, she does sit beside the nest. If you're out in a canoe and you see a gator mound, you're not looking at it to see if I lied. You'll have 10 foot of mom gator in the boat with you trying to protect your babies. The temperature of the nest also determines whether they are male or female. If it's 89 to 94 Fahrenheit, on the top usually, where it's hotter, it's going to be all boys. Down below, 88 to 84, it's going to be the females. And the males usually going to be a mix. Your gator farms use that to incubate whatever it is they want, males or females. I think it's just amazing that the gender is not determined until after the eggs are laid by the temperature of the nest. That never ceases to fascinate me. Okay, when the babies start to hatch, they start to cry to each other even when they're in the egg. And mom gator will hear that. She'll rip that vegetation off the nest so they can get to water. If they can't get to water on their own, she'll carry them to water. If they can't hatch on their own, that big old girl put that egg right up here. very carefully crack it open, carry those babies to water, and she will stay with her babies up to a year and a half or more, which is just amazing to me. You'll sometimes see mom gator with last year's and this year's, which you don't want to go near her, but it's really cool to see. Now, these guys almost became extinct between 1950 and 1970. When they made the laws to protect them, they have made the greatest comeback from near extinction of any animal in the world. In fact, I think they're studying that, trying to figure out what the deal was with these guys. We probably have 1 to 2 million in Florida today, and we need every one of them. Very important to our environment. They have a lot of nicknames. My favorite is the Guardians of the Everglades. During drought, which we're certainly in right now, they'll roll around in the substrate, groundwater will fill it up, and they call it a gator hole because the gator lives in it. But Turtles, fish, other aquatic animals live there. The gator will make a path through the sawgrass so that animals can come and drink. If it weren't for these guys, we'd lose almost every animal in the Everglades during drought. So they're very important to us. All right, I know you guys want to feed gators, but I need to tell you one more thing. Everybody looking at me, this is the most important thing. If you didn't hear another word, you need to hear this. The most important thing to know about the alligator is to never feed alligators in the wild. What did I just say?
Never feed alligators in the wild.
Excellent. You know, ordinarily we're not on the menu.
He has no shoes.
However, people are feeding them. They're looking at everybody's hand as a perennial food machine. They don't understand the words, "I'm not the lady that feeds you." Every gator that gets fed by humans becomes a nuisance gator because it comes up to people. This is real cute here. It's not cute when it's a 10-foot gator in your lake, you know? So every gator that gets fed by humans becomes a nuisance gator and gets killed. We are killing thousands a year because of that. Worse than that, sometimes people get harmed. He may not want to eat you, but he wants to eat whatever's in your hand, whether it is or not. So if you can promise me not to feed gators in the wild, I'd really appreciate it. It's going to be safe to feed them here. Remember, they won't be in the wild. They will be back in Gatorland when they're not here. We're going to feed, you guys are going to get to feed them a pellet food today, kind of like dog chow for reptiles. We'll also feed them crickets and mealworms. And tomorrow they get chicken and dead mice. They just love Saturday. Favorite day of the week. Absolutely love it. Mr. Nelson, are you there? Oh, he's going to pass out the food. Two things. If you help the children get food in the water, they're not going to come on land to eat it. The other thing is, let's throw it over there or over here. We don't want to lure him into the snapping turtle. If he grabs the gator's leg, it makes for a very bad guest experience. It's kind of bad for me too. I've got to get it out. So what I'm going to do is come over here on the bench with the gator after you feed. If you want to come over and touch the gator and ask questions, you can. Is that a deal? Yeah.